Okay, let's jump right into this explainer and unpack a truly fascinating Supreme Court decision. It's one that completely exposes the staggering human cost of administrative delays. We so often hear about graft and corruption in terms of massive kickbacks or stolen public funds, right? But the law actually covers way more ground than that. Today, we're looking at the case of Gutierrez v. People. This is a profound, almost unbelievable example of how the Philippine justice system interprets the weaponization of bureaucracy. We are going to see exactly how a local mayor's refusal to release a relatively modest death benefit resulted in a criminal conviction that went all the way up to the highest court in the land.
So, here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at a 25-year wait. Next, the roots of the dispute, followed by decoding the anti-graft law. Then we'll weigh prudence against bad faith, and finally, we'll break down the Supreme Court's verdict.
Section 1. A 25-year wait. The human cost of bureaucracy.
We have to start with a deeply human premise here. Back in April 1996, a former municipal mayor passes away. Her grieving widower, Dr. Bernardo Corral, steps forward to claim her hard-earned death benefits. Honestly, this should have been a standard everyday procedure. But think about this staggering number for a second. Dr. Corral spent over 2.5 decades, 25 whole years, waiting for his deceased wife's gratuity pay. I mean, just imagine spending a quarter of a century writing letters and fighting legal battles just to claim a straightforward death benefit that was already legally yours. It's wild.
And the amount in question? It wasn't some astronomical, incredibly complex figure. It was a modest, strictly quantified sum. Exactly 352,456 pesos and 11 centavos. This money was actively withheld despite being completely approved by the authorities, which completely set the stage for a massive legal showdown.
Section 2. The roots of the dispute. A timeline of delayed justice.
Let's map out exactly where this whole thing went wrong. At first, everything was moving smoothly. Mayor Corral passes away in April 1996. By July, municipal clearances are swiftly issued by the acting mayor and the treasurer. Then, the newly elected mayor, Patria Gutierrez, assumes office. By August, the GSIS officially approves the gratuity pay. So basically, everything was cleared within a few months. The money was ready to go. Yet, Mayor Gutierrez steps in and unilaterally halts the entire payer.
So, why did she stop it? Well, Mayor Gutierrez claimed she had received reports of treasury irregularities, and because of this, she instructed the budget officer to completely delete the gratuity pay from the annual budget. Think about that. She essentially held a grieving widower's death benefits hostage for her entirely separate crusade against the local treasurer.
Section 3. Decoding the Anti-Graft Law. Republic Act No. 3019, Section 3E.
To really understand how the Philippine justice system views these kinds of actions, we have to look to the Senigan Bayan. That's the special appellate court handling graft cases. They had to rigorously test Mayor Gutierrez's actions against a very specific three-part checklist to figure out if this was an actual crime. Element 1 was absolutely undeniable. She was a sitting mayor discharging official functions. So the entire case really hinged on proving elements 2 and 3 beyond a reasonable doubt.
Now, this is crucial. The Supreme Court holds a very strict definition of evident bad faith. It's so important to understand that under the law, this isn't just, bad judgment or a simple administrative oopsie. No, it requires a conscious, dishonest purpose operating with ulterior motives, doing wrong for some perverse motive or ill will. The ultimate question the court faced was, is holding up a check for decades just a mistake, or is it evident bad faith?
Section 4. Prudence or bad faith. Analyzing the competing legal narratives.
Was Mayor Gutierrez acting as a prudent administrator, valiantly protecting public funds, or was she operating with evident bad faith? Well, Gutierrez argued she was just taking precautions and looking into the treasurer. But honestly, that defense of bureaucratic caution completely crumbles against the sheer weight of the facts. The funds were already cleared by GSIS. The documents were submitted and then resubmitted. And critically, this is the real kicker, all of her complaints against the treasurer were investigated by the ombudsman and completely dismissed.
And the obstruction didn't even stop there. Her refusal persisted even after the local municipal council, the Sangguniang Bayan, explicitly passed a 1998 realignment budget that specifically appropriated the funds for the gratuity pay. Get this. Mayor Gutierrez actually signed that budget, yet she still refused to release the check. This staggering delay led to a damning 2003 Commission on Audit confirmation that the money was still outstanding, years and years after it was legally required to be paid.
Section 5. The Supreme Court's verdict.
the final judgment on Section 3E.
Ultimately, the Supreme Court firmly weighed in, affirming the Sandiganbayan's conviction. They meticulously applied the facts to the anti-graft law, confirming that all three elements of the crime were proven beyond a reasonable doubt. Element 1, a given. For Element 2, they ruled her actions were undeniably evident bad faith, absolutely not prudence. And for Element 3, the court emphasized that in these kinds of graft cases, the injury can't just be presumed, it has to be specified and quantified. And here, the financial injury suffered by Dr. Corral was exact: 352,456 pesos and 11 centavos, held back for a quarter of a century.
The court completely dismantled her defense, officially labeling her actions a meandering strategy to unduly delay the process of such payment. I mean, what a phrase. They recognized it wasn't administrative prudence at all. Actually, scratch that. It was the exact opposite. It was a deliberate, dishonest tactic of obstruction, literally using bureaucracy to inflict endless delay on a grieving family.
The consequences for this bad faith delay were absolutely severe. Because the court saw right through the guise of administrative caution, Mayor Gutierrez was handed a substantial prison sentence ranging from over 6 years to over 9 years. Furthermore, she faced perpetual disqualification from ever holding public office again. This serves as a massive, echoing warning shot to public officials everywhere. Weaponizing red tape to deny citizens what is legally theirs isn't just bad customer service, it's a literal criminal act of graft.
I want to leave you to reflect on this absolutely crucial question. Where exactly do we draw the line between prudent bureaucratic caution and the weaponization of red tape? Look, as citizens, we absolutely want our leaders to watch the Treasury closely. But as this case so violently illustrates, how do we ensure that administrative red tape doesn't become a shield for bad faith or a weapon to punish the innocent? Think about that the next time you find yourself waiting in an endless bureaucratic line.